Okay, welcome to the third lesson of linear programming. Now we want to see how we can write the inequalities that are represented by the unshaded region. Now, maybe before I even begin to look at what we are talking about, there are times when here the word will be shaded region, okay? And then this part where there is R, it will be shaded. The rest of the parts, they won't be shaded. The process is the same. Because here we are saying the unshaded region, but there are times where it is this same part that is shaded, and also the question will be saying, write down the inequalities that represent the shaded region. So meaning this one is what will be shaded now. So the process is still the same. So sometimes you really have to pay attention to the question and follow what the question is asking you to do. So let us look at now, how do we write the inequations in this case? How do we write the inequations in this case? Okay, that is what we want to look at. So you start with the simpler inequations. If you've got the horizontal lines or the vertical lines, those are the ones that you can easily start with. So let me start with this one. Okay, let me start with this one. This is along the y-axis, so it is y. Permit me to rub this part. Okay, right. So we can start with this one, which is y. We have y and 1 here. Now look at the line. The line is a dotted line, isn't it? The y coordinate is 1 and the line is dotted or broken. So the unshaded part is what we want. The unshaded part is what we want. And this shaded part, is it greater or less than 1? It is greater than 1. The unshaded part is greater than 1. Okay? So this is the first. By the way, the inequalities here are 5. We are going to write 5 inequalities. I forgot to mention that. 5 inequalities in that we have got this one, this, and the last one. So maybe, just maybe for convenience, can we label them? We should call this one, okay, let's just try to label them. We call this one L1. This same one that I've just done, we should call it L1. This one we should call it L2, so that we see what we are doing. Then there's this one here. I'm going to call this one L3. Then this one, I'm going to call this one L4. Then we call this one L5. This one L4. Just so that we know. So we want the inequalities. So we have just done the first one. We want the inequalities that represent the unshaded region. We have just done the first one. Then we come to the second one, which is this one. This one also is along the what? The x-axis. So we are dealing with x and the 4. We're dealing with x and the 4. Okay? The line is solid. Then the other thing that we have to notice is that we want the unshaded region. The unshaded region is on the left side. And what do we call these numbers that are on the left side of 4? They are less than 4. So they are less or equal to 4 because of the solid line. I hope you have looked at, this is the third lesson. So there are 2 lessons that I presented before this one. So I recommend that you go and look at them before you come to this one. The lesson will be extremely easier, okay? But if you can manage to get the concept again like this, there's no problem. So I have done the first 2. Then there is also this special equation here. There is also this special equation. This is the special equation, especially if you remember where we're coming from. If you look at the coordinates that are on this line, they are the same coordinate. What is the x coordinate here? The x coordinate is 0, and the y coordinate is 0. Again, when you come to this point, what is the x coordinate? The x coordinate is 0 and the y coordinate is 0. So this is the equation that we say y is equal to x. In terms of an equation, we say y is equal to x in terms of an equation. But here we are looking at the inequalities. We are looking at the inequalities. So when you look at this now, we are looking at this one, which is L3, L2, L1. Okay? This is what we are looking at. We are looking at this part. Okay? We are looking at this part here, which is below. So the part that is below this, it is less than. It is less than. Now you should know that the line is broken, so we should say less than. Okay? So the inequalities are, the first one is y is greater than 1, followed by x is less or equal to 4. Then here we have y is less than x. Okay? Those are the three that we have. And they are very easy, those ones. And you should also pay attention here. There are times when you have this case. Okay? This is our center. Then you have this point. And then on this line you have a coordinate maybe like -3, 3. Here you have 0, 0, -3, this equation, it's also a special equation, except that we say this is the equation in which we say y is equals to -x or y is equals to x. This one you should also take note of it. This one. I have also emphasized it where we are coming from. Alright? So this is basically what we are supposed to. So let's look at what we are supposed to do on the. Now, for these lines, these that are remaining, these ones that are remaining, what we are supposed to do is we need to find the gradient. So I recommend that again you look at coordinate geometry. We looked at coordinate geometry here. So again, I do recommend that you look at coordinate geometry and see what is involved. Okay, so how do we find the gradient? We need to pick any 2 points that lie along this same line. Any 2 points that lie along this same line. That is the process. So the first thing that we're supposed to do is to find the gradient. So how do we find the gradient? The first thing is to pick any 2 points that are found along that line. So I'll start with this one, which is L4 was this one. We can start with this one. This one. So the 2 points that are there, I'll pick, because this one is not like a graph paper where we can easily know that. Even this one you can pick, if it's clearly labeled, that you can pick any 2 points that are on this line. So in this case, I'll have 0, 0,4. 0,4 is this point here, and then the last one, which is 8,0. Okay? Are we following? The first thing is to get these 2 points. Why? I want these points to help me find the gradient. We need the gradient to form the equation. I hope you are following. We need the gradient to form the equation. So the first thing that we are supposed to do now, once we have these points, I said any points that are clearly indicated on this line, especially that in the exam they are given straight on the graph paper, so you can easily pick any 2 points on that line. So we find the gradient using these 2 points. The gradient, we use this formula. Okay, so these are x coordinates. The first one is x1, this one is y1, the second one is x2, and this one is y2. So these are the coordinates that we are putting into the formula there. Our y2 is what? 0 minus 4 over. Our x2 is 8 minus 0 minus 4. Then we have 8 minus 0. What does this give us? It gives us -4 over 8. When you simplify this one, you get -1 over 2. You get -1 over 2. So -1 over 2 is our gradient. -1 over 2 is our gradient. I hope you have seen that. So our gradient, which is m, is negative 1 over 2. So now we need to write the equation. Okay? How do we write the equation of a straight line? We are writing the equation of a straight line using this formula. This is the formula that I use. If you look at coordinate geometry, we adequately covered this. Okay? So we are only looking at our m at these 2 points. Okay? So we need the gradient and these 2 points, x1 and y1. So what are these 2 points? You can get either this point. If you pick this point, your x1 is going to be 0, your y1 is going to be. If you pick this one, your x1 is going to be 8. The equation must be the same. The equation should be the same. Whichever you pick, doesn't matter. Okay, so I can get the first one. You can pick either this one or this one. So let's go with the first one. So this is what is I'm going to call my x1. This is going to be my y1. So we say y minus 4 is equals to negative 1 over 2. What do we have? X minus x1, which is 0. Okay? So at this point, especially if this wasn't a 0, if this one was not a 0, I do advise that you cross multiply. So I don't know if we can cross multiply for convenience or to emphasize what I'm explaining, because this one it's direct and it's easier. But if this one, we are trying to avoid a fraction as we bring this one the other side. Okay? So if this one was not, okay, let me just work it out in case of, okay, if this one was not a 0, I think we're going to find those cases as we go on. For now, let's say we're going to have y minus 4 is equals to minus x, because this one will give us a 0 when we multiply this by that. Okay? So y, take note, this point is 4, 4. Y is equal to negative 1 over 2x plus 4. This one has to go the other side. The additive inverse of minus is plus. Are we together? But then what we have written here is an equation. The question wants us to find the inequality. Okay? So how do we find the inequality? Now we need to look at the shaded region and the unshaded region. Okay? Remember that we are looking at this one. This is what we are looking at. So what region has not been shaded? The region below. The region below is unshaded. So meaning the less part is what is not shaded. So the fourth inequality is going to be y less or equal to negative 1 over 2x plus 4. This is what is going to be our fourth inequality. This one. Because we are looking at the true region, the unshaded region is below. So which is less or equal to, in that the line is solid. Okay? So we proceed and look at the last one. In the exam, usually they give 3 or 4. Mostly 3. But here I just want to have it like this so that I explain all the concepts that are involved. Okay? So the last one is not going to be a problem because it is the same process like this one. So what is it going to be? Again, we need to pick 2 points. Those 2 points are going to be 0, 4, which is this point. The second point is this one here, which is 4, 0. Again, we need to find the gradient, the same process, which is m is equals to y2, which is 0 minus y1, which is 4, over x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is 0. When you subtract, you get minus 4 over 4. This gives you our gradient is going to be negative 1. Okay? Take note, our gradient is going to be negative 1. Gradient in most cases is represented by the letter M. So we have 1. Then, after that, now we come to form the equation. How do we form the equation? Okay. The equation I explained. This point can be 4, 0. I can bring it here. The equation can be y minus y1 is equal to m x minus x1. And I have explained this is our gradient. Then we can pick any points here. Or if we pick the second one, our x1 is 4. Our y1 is 0. So we say y is minus our y1, which is 0, is equals to our gradient is negative 1, open brackets, x minus 4. Are we together? Then we have y is equals to minus x plus 4. Okay. This minus and this minus, we get a plus. So now, this what we have written here is an equation. But what the question wants is an equality, where we put greater than, equal to, stuff like that. So we come back to this and look at the region that is unshaded. Is greater, it's on top. So we are going to have the inequality now is y is greater than or equal to minus x plus 4. We have written down the 5 inequalities. The 5 inequalities we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Please go through this process alone. Even this same question alone should be adequate. It should be enough. It's the same thing that I'm going to explain even here. It is the same thing. Okay? It is the same thing. But only that I want us to have more examples. Alright, I hope it's clear. Let me see if you're able to see. Okay, so let's continue. Let's look at the other question here, which is the last one. Hello. So, we continue. These things are not difficult. So, we are looking at the inequalities that represents the unshaded region, which is represented or which is marked by the letter R here. So the first thing first is we start with this one, the x. This is along the x-axis. This is along the x-axis. Okay? This is along the x-axis. So we're going to start with, what is that? I'll write it here. We are dealing with what? X and 2. X and 2. Which region do we want? The region that is on there, which is greater. X is greater. This region. We just put greater because the line is broken, it's dotted. That is the first one. The second one is this line, from this point to that point. And these are the ones where I said you have to pick the coordinates, then get the gradient, then you proceed. So we get the coordinates, which is what? 0, 2, 0, 2 here. This is 0, 2. Then that one is given as what? 5, 3. Then we find the gradient. Gradient letter M is equal to what? Gradient letter M is equals to y2. What is our y2 here? Our y2 is 3 minus our y1, which is 2, over our x2, which is 5, minus 0. y2 minus y1, x2 minus, what do we get? We are getting 1 over 5 as our gradient. We are getting 1 over 5 as our gradient. So our gradient is 1 over 5. Then we write now the equation. this is the equation that we are supposed to write. So I said our gradient is 1 over 5. Then x1 and y1, you can pick any of these points. Now if you've got a point that has got one coordinate 0, it's better you use it because it will simplify your work. So we can go with this one where 0 is our x1, y is our x2. So we go on. Y minus 2, which is this one here, is equals to 1 over 5 gradient, then x minus 0. So this goes on to say y minus 2 is equals to 1 over 5x. This will give us 0. Then we have y is equals to 1 over 5x plus 2. When this one goes the other side. What have I written here? This is an equation. Then we need the inequality. How do we write the inequality now? You look at the upper part. Okay? The upper part is what we want. So it is going to be what? The inequality now is going to be y is greater than or equal to 1 over 5x plus 2. Okay? That is what is going to be our second inequality. Let's look at the last one now. Let us look at the last one. Okay? Let us look at the last one. So the last one, the same thing, you need to pick those coordinates. You pick the coordinates there. What are the coordinates? You have 2, 5. Then the other one you have 5 and 3. Okay, so we do our gradient. Gradient is m y2, which is 3, minus 5, which is y1, over 5 minus x2 minus x1. What are we getting? Minus 2 over 3. Am I right? Minus 2 over 3. Alright, so this is our gradient. Our gradient is minus 2 over 3. Okay? So we have the gradient. We have the gradient and we can use any point. So our equation now we must be used is equals to gradient x minus x1. Which coordinate you can pick any? Let's go with the first one. Minus 5 is equals to gradient minus 2 over 3 x minus 2. Okay? This coordinate, our x is 2, okay. Now, please, we should take note that if this is a minus here, if this is a minus, you bring it here as it is minus 5, you're going to get a positive. Those things, please, you should take note. So now, this is the point I was trying to explain in the, at the beginning, to say that if the gradient is a fraction, and this coordinate is not 0, it is easier to simplify with when you cross multiply. When you cross multiply, what do I mean? We multiply this 3 by this part. So let's go that way. 3 y minus 5 is equals to minus 2 x minus 2. Have you seen what I've done? This is easier like this. So we go on like this. This 3 multiply that side. So we have 3 y minus 15 is equals to negative 2x plus 4. Okay? Then at this point, say 3y is equals to negative 2x plus 4 plus 15. The additive inverse of minus is plus. So we go on and say 3y is equals to minus 2x plus 19. This is the equation here. This is the equation. Okay? What we have written here is the equation. What we have written here is the equation. So, again, if you want, you can take it back where you're going to say, you divide throughout by 3. Just to, I don't know. Even at this point, it's okay. But if you want, you can still say y is equals to negative 2 over 3x plus 19 over 3, where this 3 you divide throughout this side, okay? Or you can just say everything over 3. It's the same thing. Then this is the same as this one. They are equations, these ones, okay? Whether this one comes the other side equals to 19, it's the same thing. But what we are interested in is in the inequality. We have this line, then the part below is less. It is less, isn't it? So the final answer must be y is less or equal to negative 2 over 3x plus 19 over 3. Or even at this point, you could have put that. Then the answer remains the same. So the inequalities here, they were supposed to be 3. 1, 2, 3. I hope I have explained something that you managed to get and it will help you to answer the questions in the exercise correctly. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel and make sure that you give us a thumbs up and some comments on how best we can provide the service. Okay? So unless otherwise, as per our culture, I'm supposed to give you the exercise and I'm going to give you a lot of questions just for your practice. So if you want to submit, those of you that do submit, you can submit maybe the first 3, that's all. The rest are just there for your practice. Okay? That is the point. It's the point. The first one is here. I'm giving you everything from the past papers. First one is here. Okay? So you get the coordinates. You get the coordinates yourself. You get the coordinates. This is what I was telling you from the exam. They'll bring them. There's another one here. There's another one here. There's also this one here. So you see what I was telling you, that you can get any coordinates. Like along this line, you can get this point. You can get this one. 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 Get this one. Any coordinates here. The same thing. And this is this one. You've seen it. Any two if you want to get the gradients, pick any two coordinates here. They will still give you the same gradient. Okay? So then you do also this one. So this is the opposite of what I was telling you. This one, the required region is shaded, but the process is the same. The process is the same. The question in this case is going to be write down the inequalities that represent the shaded region. So the process is the same, please. Okay? So you pick the coordinates. If you look at this one, you pick 0, 0. You also come here and look at this point here. This point, you can pick this point, it's 6, 1. Okay? There's also this one. I hope it's clear. The question is the same. The question is here. Write the 4 inequalities that represent the unshaded region R. So it's the same thing. Okay? Even this one, write the 3 inequalities that represent the unshaded region marked R. I hope you remember this one. So that's the process there. Okay. This is 2020. I think 2020. So you pick coordinates here. I hope you're able to see this other dotted line. Okay, there's this one. This was 2019 internal. So this was GCE 2020. The coordinates are given up there. Okay. The coordinates for A, the coordinates for B, the coordinates for E. Okay, the coordinates for C. Okay. Here. Then now you write. So use those coordinates. Okay. The coordinates like for E here, they're given there as what? 7, 1. You always, the X coordinate is what starts, then the Y coordinate. Okay. So you first write those coordinates where there's also this one here. Hope you're able to see. So these are from the past example. There's also this one. Hope you're able to see the points here. There's also this one. I hope you're able to see the coordinates. This is -3, 10. This is also -3 here. This one is 3, 4. Okay. Okay. Look at this one also. Okay, this one, I hope you're able to see where R is there. And able to pick the coordinates. There are 4 inequalities here. There's this one, and there's this one, and this one. So you have to just pick the coordinates, especially on this one. How do you get this coordinate here? You need this coordinate, and you also find that one, this one here. This is 4, look at what is this side. Then you go on. So you need 4 here. Okay? I think these are enough. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. We are giving lessons as they come in the syllabus. Thank you very much once again. Goodbye.